School Board meeting for.
Hey, turn
Turn it
that
up.
We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any delegations, Mr. Peterson?
No, none other than the ones that are kind of built into the agenda.
Okay. We'll delegate as we go. All right, well, I have a proposed change to the consent agenda. I would like to ask if Emily Robb is, I guess, say it right. Emily Robb be pulled out of the consent agenda and moved down to probably new business.
Right.
Or I guess it would be. We can put her first or last, whatever you want.
Let's go ahead and put her first.
Any discussion on the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes. And we jump right into number 5, swearing in board members.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Thornton. First, I'd like to have Teddy, if you would, step forward and I will give you the director's oath of office. And repeat after me, please. I, Teddy Bryan,
I, Teddy Bryan,
do hereby solemnly swear or affirm
do hereby solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of director
and will faithfully discharge the duties of director
of Kiona Benton City School District number 52,
of the Kiona Benton City School District number 52,
Benton County, State of Washington,
Benton County, State of Washington,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And I'd like to welcome Josh Skipper, who won a uncontested election, but you won an election nonetheless. Absolutely. So Josh, please repeat after me. I, Josh Skipper,
I, Josh Skipper,
do hereby solemnly swear or affirm
do hereby solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of director
and will faithfully discharge the duties of director
of the Kiona Benton City School District number 52,
of the Kiona Benton City School District number 52,
Benton County, State of Washington,
Benton County, State of Washington,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Josh.
Thank you.
Invite you to join us.
All right, welcome. Welcome aboard and good luck.
Maybe you should have said that in the other order. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, we're going to go next to board elections. And we start off with the board chair. So we'll, the chair opens the table for nominations.
Nominate David Thornton. Dale.
Dale.
Dale, sorry.
Yeah, not Dave.
good to me.
Any other nominations? Okay. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So I guess I'll take over for another year.
Aye.
Next is the vice chair or co-chair, however we want to call it. Nominations for co-chair.
I'd like to nominate Teddy Bryant.
I'll
She
accept
doesn't-
that.
Okay. Do we have the second?
Oh, yeah, we should have a second.
Second, I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I vote for myself.
I,
Okay. And we don't do the sports one, but we do the legislative.
Correct. And the legislative rep that we need to reelect to another 2-year term.
I would like to nominate Julie Rancho.
A second. Any other nominations? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so I guess we're going forward.
should
Excellent.
we go back and do roll call for the chair position?
Probably.
I think we should probably do that. So,
Did you catch it or do you want us to do it again?
I need a roll call for president.
Okay. And a second too, probably?
so I nominated you, so.
I'll second you.
Okay. And I'll vote for myself. Aye.
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 Results are the same.
Really turned it on in the last 5 minutes.
Who's second? Teddy.
Teddy did.
On
Oh.
device.
Dale.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll move right into public comment.
Go for it.
Mr. Carlson.
I'd just like to put into the record that I appreciate working with all of you. Good luck to Josh. I'm sure he'll do well, and I want to thank everybody very much. Good luck in the future here. I don't think it's too tough of a job. And thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, of course, Heidi. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
like to
Clark.
Thank you, Clark, for showing us how to be inquisitive and the things to look for.
I would also like
As a
to
good
thank all of
example.
All of the administrators in the buildings. It was very pleasurable working with all of you. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Did we have any written? Okay. On the board comments.
Anybody have anything they want to share over the last couple of weeks?
I would
Exciting?
just like to comment on the band and choir concerts. They were a joy to attend. It's so nice to be able to go back and listen to music and see the kids and they all sounded great. I didn't get to attend the middle school one, but the high school one was wonderful. So, and I understand the middle school one was just as good and huge groups. I wish I could have been here to see that up on that stage, but I wasn't able to be here. So anyhow, I'd like to thank those 2 teachers for putting in a whole lot of work, I'm sure, with a program that has been pretty much non-existent for the last 2 years. So very, very nice to be there and see that all start taking place again. It'll be nice to, it's nice. We had I believe it was the girls' basketball team came in at the end of the high school one, and they all sat on the floor and listened and clapped and had a good time. So it was a lot of fun. So it was a wonderful thing to see back into the music of, and it was great because it was all Christmas music. So. Except for the March of the Armed Forces, which they did an outstanding job with, I must say. The band did an incredible job. So anyhow, that's what I have.
Josh?
And I just wanted to say thank you and look forward to working with all of you. I've met some of you and look forward to meeting more of the administration.
All right. I have no comment
Okay.
worth putting on the record. Okay, well then we'll move on to principal reports.
Evening. Have a few things to talk about. You know, this week we're wrapping up the year. For winter break, doing some fun activities. There was a door decorating contest that all the classrooms participated in, and they were super cute. And then we're doing a secret Santa, just trying to kind of have some fun before we go. Food drive, CD might be talking about this, but we had just 1 week of food drive and we collected over 2,300 cans. They're gonna share it between kind of local and then the food bank. So we're super excited about that. A first grade classroom won the big cupcake prize, so that was fun. The second thing I want to talk about that's kind of big on our radar right now is the dyslexia screening that's coming this year, mandated by OSPI. So we're starting in January and we're gonna follow the OSPI direction, which is what they wanted us to do. We kind of have to wait till January for some of the screening for kindergarten to develop some of the skills. And we have to screen kindergarten, first and second grade students. So it's a pretty big job right now. We're trying to remember that this is kind of just the one time thing, right? So it's going to be pretty impactful for a few weeks in January, but after this, it's just kinder at the beginning of the year or mid-year. And then any student that comes in without a screener. So this is the big push. Large task, but I think, you know, a lot of people feel like it's going to be worth it if we do it correctly, and we're working on that really hard. There's lots of different screeners you can do. Dibbles is one. So this first time we're going to be doing our dibbles, and then we had to get a second screener for some rapid automated response times, and those are just cards that kids have to read, like 6 lines where some are letters, some are symbols, colors, things like that, and then they're timed in that. And so then Joni Ashley will go to work with her great expertise in Excel spreadsheets and we'll figure out how to flag them, because that's the biggest thing. Then students are flagged for that. Now, we don't diagnose it, you know, we don't say, yes, the student has dyslexia. We say the student has tendencies that look like, you know, there could be dyslexia, and then parents get notified of that. And then we keep them on our radar and decide from there, you know, what kind of interventions we can implement that may help students that are following in that category. So we're hoping to keep some of RTI at least partially going. It's going to take quite a few adults to do all of the students. We're going to bring in a few of our retired teachers we're working on to see if they can kind of help us with that second part. That rapid automated is what's going to take us the longest, I think. So we're trying to get some people in to help us with that. And then like I said, we're hoping to kind of complete this within 3 weeks, hopefully sooner, but then we'll just follow the next steps from there. So it's a big task, but we're up for it. The other thing I just would like to talk about with the community, and I know we put this on our website, but was asking for community support to just pay attention and slow down a little bit in our school zones. I was out there and I noticed there's just a long way between crosswalks. So I think it's easy to kind of speed up along there. And our school lights aren't always working consistently. So just remember when students are present, that 20 miles per hour is pretty important. And then, you know, watching for the crosswalks and flags, so we can just keep students and staff safe. Appreciate everyone's support on that. And then just the last thing I just want to talk about is our staffing. We're short on subs for all our staff, and no matter if someone's gone, there's not always a replacement, and creates some stress and things. I know on the news this morning it was talking about, or this afternoon it was talking about Sunnyside needing subs. And I was like, but I just want to say thanks to all the teachers, staff, paras, custodians, anyone that is, because it just takes a lot of filling in. It takes kind of that Zoom defense, you know, to come in and make it work on those tough days when we're short staffed. So just want to say thanks to everyone that's cooperating on that. So, and then I think that's all I have. Do you have any questions for me? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, Stevie, you're on next.
All right. So kind of in that same tone, we are also going to be working with Chris to make sure that we have, she has everything she needs for the screener. We will, for fourth, fifth, and third, fourth, and fifth, we will try to get our math testing done that second week. And we're looking at maybe like 6 days to get everything done for our part. And then all hands on deck to make sure that that screener goes through. So we're preparing for that. Third grade, because they didn't have to take the SBAC this fall. They started taking interim tests so that we can start getting those kids exposed to what the testing format looks like. So this week, it's up on the big screen, whole class taking the test together, talking about what all the tools do, and how do we answer these questions thoroughly. Because it's not just multiple choice anymore, you know, don't just take A, B, C, or D. So we're really trying to teach them how to take the test. So that we've been really focused on that. We've had core tests or core learning going on, which is that reading matter that we purchased during COVID. Big success with that. We just completed our first 6 weeks after SBAC and all that. I don't know the exact numbers, but I do know that there was quite a few kids that tested out and quite a few that tested up. So I'm super excited about that. All 3 grade levels for me have been doing walk to read, which is, you know, they're assessing where kids are and then placing them appropriately. So we do that. And that has been hugely successful. We're seeing kids start to fill in those holes and gaps, gain confidence in the rhythm of their reading and their comprehension. So big kudos to everybody that's been working hard on that. Plus it allows our resource teacher to be able to see, you know, every grade level effectively throughout. And then the rest of the way, we're just trying to use data effectively, also for math, and making sure that we utilize enough time to have science and social studies still be incorporated into our day. So that's what intermediate's been working on, and I agree with Chris. We have had some issues with the with safety, and you know, so if they could slow down, that'd be great. So other than that, any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Bell.
Good evening. Regarding the middle school concert, it was a nice concert and they were packed.
Good.
We were up to the rafters in the thing with some standing room only, and thankfully we had very good mask compliance and very nice evening. So that was a good thing. And again, kudos to our music folks who are cobbling together on this restart of the program. Student-led conference survey results. I emailed you a Survey Monkey results, but you can look at those on your own, but also just some highlights. We have about 92% agree that it's a valuable experience. And as far as preparation, most of the kids happily, about 88% of the parents said the kids were prepared, which, you know, we attempt to make that. Also wanted to go towards question 5, and the question is, should we continue with the student-led conferences? And that was an 88% saying, yes, it's a thing. It's a good thing. You know, it's definitely a thing. It's quite a production. Did want you to, there's some comments. There was a comment section, and I'm going to read, I don't know, maybe half a dozen of them. And one of them says, very well done. It was very informative. Another says, I feel these can be valuable if they know what they're actually accomplishing by doing them. Lots of potential in student-led conferences. There's a keep it going. One of them said they'd rather meet with teachers for 5 to 10 minutes with all teachers, which that's not what we do with the student-led conferences. But we certainly will set up a meeting if they request it with their teachers and can do that. Another comment says, I really feel this is the best opportunity for both teachers, students, and the parents to be able to actually hear what the student's doing from day to day from their point of view. I prefer doing student-led conferences over the teacher-led ones. So really is a positive experience overwhelmingly. You know, they want to continue doing that. So, and they're really meeting the standards of the speaking and the organizing, and it's giving them real life presentation skills. So it is, from our perspective, something that we're going to keep doing. Student recognition, we've had a variety of different events. An all-in party, we do a little celebration for every kid mid-quarter that has all their work turned in. A little bit of pizza party and a movie and just a chance to hang out and celebrate. Of course, we have honor roll and principals honor roll. And then with our cave competitions, we celebrate the winners of the cave competitions. It's really, we're serious, obviously serious about the education piece. We try and mix in some fun and challenge with the teamwork as part of what we do with the caves as well. And our doors are pretty fantastic as well. And it's kid directed and pretty nice. You walked through there last week?
Yeah.
It's pretty fantastic. Anyway, that was a good thing. And on a safety note, last Tuesday, all of us did a shared joint lockdown with Benton County Sheriff's Office. Once we got the call to the school, doors were verified and locked and within 3.5 minutes or so. So.
And the alarm worked. Did you do the alarm?
No, fire alarm always works, you know.
Okay.
We just, for a lockdown, we call a
Just
lockdown.
all call.
It's an all call, absolutely. But they were pleased as well with our response and preparations. Any questions?
During the student-led conferences, do the students share their math test results?
They did.
Awesome.
They had them printed. It was part of their portfolio. Yes.
Great.
I know my daughters, when they were in middle school, they started off kind of hesitant, but by the time they were in 8th grade, they were like a pro at it.
Yeah.
Excited about it.
It's a good deal.
So it's good. You know, the more you do it, the more you realize you're capable.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Thank you.
Last but not least.
Well, I got a big list here, so you're gonna be here, but you know.
Well,
So first, I'd like to congratulate Mr. and Mrs. Denboer. This morning, they welcomed to their family a healthy baby boy. Crew Chadwick Denboer at 7:54 a.m., 7 pounds, 5 ounces, 20.5 inches long. And being an avid fisherman, Mr. Denboer said he's a keeper. So with that, we'll have another Tybee district student in about 5 years. So that's a good thing. One of the big things that we're trying to do is build some positive school culture, some normalcy in what we're doing at the high school. And so this week we have Spirit Week going on. Today was pajama day. I told them this is what I wear because I just wake up and go to work. So kids didn't fall for it. But anyway, Tuesday we have anything but a backpack. So they're supposed to carry their stuffages in anything but a backpack. My understanding at Richland, they brought grocery carts. So I made sure on the announcements, no grocery carts allowed.
The grocery store probably appreciates.
Yes,
So the
yes.
market, I'm sure.
Yeah.
appreciates
We're a
that.
little close to the
Yeah,
past.
that's what I thought too. So I made sure that was in the announcement. But I do have kids saying, so what's your ideas? I'm like, you gotta get the ideas, not me. It's your Spirit Week. Wednesday's White Lie Wednesday, so I'm gonna say I'm really ugly because we all know I'm handsome. Thank you. And don't laugh so loud. Okay. Thursday is Ugly Sweater Day, which I have many. And then Friday is Flannel Friday. So Mrs. Hardy's class from the door decorating contest. And if you don't know, that's a life skills class, so they got to decorate that whole thing on their own. So that's pretty cool. FFA students have been crazy busy last couple weeks. So they went to convention center and they built hundreds of bikes in one day. And then they came back and built about 50 for our local bikers hikes in the community. They've also taken part in regional and local leadership opportunities the past couple weeks. Band and choir, you talked about the concert, it was awesome. One of the things, once again, trying to get more positive culture, we talked to the basketball team, girls basketball team, because the band never has the groups there to come in and cheer them on. You know, everybody's cheering at the games for the teams, but never really for the pep band. And it was interesting because the girls got done, they had a lot of fun, and I had this comment made a lot. They're really good. Like, no, they were really good. Mr. Henry, I didn't know we were that good. I said, well, then you need to come to more concerts. So that was really cool. You know, the biggest problem is some of them have practice and all that kind of stuff in that time. But it was nice that the coach allowed the kids to get out of practice for a little bit of time to share this with the band. So winter wishes, if you don't know what that is, it's people get to say Clay Henry needs a pair of socks, a new coat, shoes, jeans, a shirt, and then a lot of items are purchased through the community and through our teachers. And those things are handed out on, it'll be this Wednesday after school. And so, and probably Thursday and Friday, just to get them all out. Let's see. Oh, and then the other thing we're bringing back is Fun Time Friday, which is the last day at school. It's an 8 to 11 day. So normally it's about 25 minutes, 5 minute passing, 25 minutes, 5 minute passing. It beats itself pretty quick and then boom, day's over. Well, we're going to actually have a lot of activities for kids. And the teachers are all volunteering to do things like, if you haven't done your scholarships, I know this will be packed, you know, you can go in and do that. Cookie decorating, card games, snowflake cards or ornaments, Christmas movie, math tutoring and help. Holiday movie, quiet room. Some kids just want to sit there and just chillax, maybe get some homework done. Board games, game tournaments, Kahoot, trivia, karaoke, a loud room. That'll be interesting. So Mr. Lake, so he's used to loud rooms. And then I'll be putting on foosball, air hockey, ping pong tournaments in the comments with the kids.
Nice.
So it should be fun. This week's kind of busy. Obviously, the school board meets tonight. Tomorrow, because Lance thinks having a baby and being gone for a while is important. So I let him, but
Silly guy.
I get to do the home basketball game against Columbia Burbank tomorrow night. There's girls wrestling at Grandview. Thursday, home basketball game that was moved from Saturday. So make sure if you're coming, don't come on Saturday because you'll be kind of like crickets outside, okay? Friday early release, we have fun that day. We have basketball at LaSalle. And then boys and girls are at the Best of the West at Pasco High School for Friday and Saturday. And then I put this out for everybody because everybody needs to know in high school that our semester comes to a close really quick after the break. So 2 weeks of classes, and then we have about 3 days, 4 days there to get finals in and so forth. So I send that out to the parents, but I have been doing a very special thing every morning. It's a joke of the day. So I'll give you one, just so you guys can have fun. What do grapes sing at Christmas? 'Tis the season to be jelly. La 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 la. Thank you. I'll be there tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Announcements every day, Monday through Friday. Okay,
Throw in
any
your phone?
questions? Pardon?
You should throw in your phone
I know.
every week.
I have one every day.
Perfect.
And the kids come out like, oh, that was horrible today, Mr. And I'm like, did it make me smile? That's all that matters.
Yes.
So, any questions? You have a crazy Hawaiian guy, so thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I guess we'll move on to unfinished business. Policy 1340, targeting student learning. Peterson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Thornton. Previous two meetings, we had our first and second reading for policy 1340. During the second reading, we made some changes to it slightly in the timing of some items. Other than that, I think that this really is going to serve as a public reminder, but also a reminder to board members and our staff and students that one of the board's primary missions, aside from all of the legal stuff, is to ensure that our educational programming is where it needs to be. What I also like about this is the fact that it will allow for a less random approach, except when absolutely necessary, to reviewing board policies. So we will be able to, for instance, if we're talking about board governance in March, as suggested, we can bring any updates to any of our board policies in the 1,000 range that need updating. If we're talking about curriculum and instruction, we can bring all of those in. So that way we can just try and create a little more cohesion to when and where our board policies come, and with the idea that they're also going to follow on the backs of presentations that we have during that meeting for those specific topics. So I really like it. I appreciate the board's willingness to take a look at it, and I'm just asking for final approval tonight.
So Josh, have you had a chance to understand what we're doing on that one?
I read the policy.
Okay.
Got a copy over here.
Do you have questions? Do you want
No questions at the moment.
to, are you ready to vote on it? Or,
I think so.
okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah,
because
appreciate
You haven't
the
done
questions.
the 3 readings. I like the dates that you installed. They're spread out, but still, they still match our schedule.
Correct.
Well,
I'm ready.
Chair would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve policy 1340, targeting student learning.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. I think. Is Heidi gonna be the one to kind of instigate our monthly, our flavor of the month? When we go to bring up the policy topic?
What'll happen prior to the meeting, and by at least a month or so, we'll just start going through. There's always going to be an outlier, because sometimes an exceptional policy which they want implemented fairly immediately will come across the desk, and we'll include that in the next board meeting. But for the most part, especially when we have 2 board meetings a month, we can really try and aim those directly at the topics being looked at. But we'll get a good look at them prior, so that there certainly aren't any surprises.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it in the agenda meeting.
Correct.
Maybe put a spot in here for discussion.
Yep.
That we can all share ideas. Okay, then we'll move on to the inventory discussion.
And not a lot of discussion, but I actually just wanted you to see in your packet. One of the things that I told you we were going to try and implement was we were going to try and go with a practice run of what we are going to be asking staff to be doing over the course of the rest of the year. And it won't take the rest of the year, but we're going to put together a timeline of how and when we want to roll this out. So, you know, we had some of our folks actually go and inventory their own offices and find the types of things that we're looking for. And I think more importantly, quite frankly, not the list of things we're not looking for. You know, when the board approached me about this particular topic, I think it was important for us to understand that we haven't had, quite frankly, a very solid system of controlling assets and knowing exactly where things are supposed to be. And quite frankly, even after the purchase, and maybe a year or two later, we thought we knew where it was, and all of a sudden we don't know where it is. So by creating this practice and procedure, we're going to be able to very quickly identify all of the important things that are in every classroom. David and his IT department have really kind of championed the idea that we're no longer simply going to be purchasing quote unquote teacher computers, kid computers. We're going to have a standard model of classroom equipment, a standard model of administrative equipment, a standard model of student equipment, so that we aren't always hunting through the catalogs trying to find the next biggest and best, that every year we simply do a review and say, okay, these are the things that we're going to purchase when the time comes that we need to replace any of our assets or add additional ones. One of the neat things that we found out is our current fiscal system, Infinite Visions, after much discussion about, well, what can we do to get a system to record all of this information? Our current one has that. Kurt was able to take a look at it. He brought David over, showed it to him. So the fact is that we can enter all of this information into an Excel file and upload the file for any given location. So given that fact, once we get that baseline amount of information, we're then going to be, knock on wood, able to verify fairly quickly at the end of each year, okay, teacher, principal, other person, whoever's in the office at the time that's responsible for their stuff, just verify it's there. If there are any items missing, if there are any items have been sent in repair, we'll have a very quick record of it. Obviously, this is vitally important as we have been expending emergency funds from the federal government, the ESSER $1, $2, and $3. All of those will at some point come under audit. We have to account for all of our program dollars that we're spending, what we're spending it on, who are the folks that are using it. So this is just going to allow us to do that in a much more quick manner than we have been able to in the past. So again, I'm glad that the board brought this up as a key point. I think that we're well on our way at the end of the year. We should have a very viable baseline of everything that we have in the district. And it very well might lead to some summer hunting to try and find a few things that we know exist and simply don't know where they are. So, but that's again why we've got another 4 months to really get it down and find out where things are. So if you have any questions, you know, one of the best things I think that Kurt and David did was bring his people over to our district office and then sit down with Heidi and the rest of the district office staff and really get an idea of, okay, this is what we're looking for. How did it go? What were any of the problems you saw? What were some of the things we needed to do? What didn't we think of to really get that trial run going? Because we don't want to be showing up at Chris's building, for instance, at the primary school, and all of a sudden we run into a snafu halfway through it and we have to, okay, we got to back off and start all over. So hopefully with this trial run, you know, that should enable us to move out into the buildings fairly efficiently. So with that, simply an update, and the fact of the matter is probably in that July meeting, we should be able to give you a complete rundown maybe even a visual demonstration, how we have everything in the district asseted and tagged and where it's at.
As far as the items that we're inventorying, is there a certain price amount, cost amount that we're trying to target? Anything about this amount or?
Yes,
Okay.
very, very qualified, yes. Because when you look at just a dollar figure, I want to say we're in the 250, I think is that dollar figure. But then the state will go and say, or anything else that people really might want and decide they might want to just take.
Oh. Well, that could be everything.
Yeah. And as any of you know, back when Teddy and I were in school, you'd have a huge monitor, a 17-inch monitor that was $1,000 at the time. Heck, they're $50 now for much nicer monitors. So some of the things that we think are valuable in our own experience suddenly aren't so valuable anymore. And some of the things we think of as, no big deal, that may be something that we get some advice from the state and they say, yeah, it'd be a good idea to account for these things. Things like our radios, for instance. Some of our radios you can go out to Costco and buy. Package is 6 for $75. Some of our radios go for several $100s each. So some of those items are inventoried, others aren't. I think the best way to think about it is if it's something that's kind of disposable, it's not going to be inventoried. And quite frankly, some of those cheaper radios, if they break, we just go get a new one. If it's one of our nice Kenwoods or nice Motorola's, we're going to get the thing fixed. So long answer to what should be an easy question that isn't so easy.
I just had to do my asset inventory. this
Oh,
week.
yep.
I counted my iPads, my microscopes, my 3D printer projector. Yeah.
Yep.
It wasn't too bad. It was maybe, I don't know, 12 or 13 things on that one.
And really, I think that it's the first time you go through it is the tough one. Because then you're having to go physically look for some of the things and identify serial numbers, model numbers, and that type of thing. In the future, when you go through it the second time, a lot of it's just going to be review. Oh yeah, that's here, that's here, that's here. Away we go. So anyway,
Well, in my former life, this was I was the inventory manager. And the only thing I can suggest is that when you do data entry, the same person does it. Because you'll get all kinds of skewed descriptions or different abbreviations. Then when you go to search,
absolutely.
it's tough. And then, your categories, once you segregate your categories, decide on them and then don't change those.
Correct.
Anyway, and then, like you said, if you're gonna throw it away, if it's broke, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If you wanna get it fixed, then it's something. that,
Yep.
So anyway, I agree. You're doing the right thing. On to new business. Okay, we shuffled Emily in there. So what we need is an approval for Emily Robb as the high school assistant girls basketball coach. And I will, of course, recuse myself because I know her.
Well, I don't know. I will move to approve Emily Robb's hiring as assistant girls basketball coach.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Excellent.
And then we can go to facilities discussion.
So you got a whole bunch of paper on this, or electronic formatted paper. So since this topic first came up and the idea that we needed to kind of review our policies and procedures for how we do facilities use. As I took a look at these, and we included not only the district policy, but all of our multitude of forms and different policy or procedures that we have. One of the things that we came to the folks who were kind of in the decision-making from a procedural standpoint was we didn't really see any glaring errors in the policy itself or in the procedures themselves. And what this really came down to, and it was cemented, quite frankly, with a meeting between Heidi, Mr. Adamson, and myself, was it isn't so much the policy and procedures that need updated. What we need to do is we need to have a fresh start pushing out our policy and procedures again, with the understanding that, just to be totally blunt, we're not going to make exceptions anymore for folks who say they're serving Kybe kids, but in reality, we've only got 1 or 2 out of 20 that are Kybe kids, as a manner to avoid the fees associated with usage, as a way to ensure that, okay, we don't need keys because I know my cousin's best friend works for the district and he, we really need to just solidify the procedures and process. No longer can it be a case where, well, this person has always been able to get the facility, they've always done this, they've always paid this or not paid this. And gosh, I can't remember the last time we asked them for an insurance policy. But we've always done it this way, so let's just keep doing it this way. Well, what we need to do is just, like I said, press a reset and enforce the practices and procedures that we have. I think that was heard across the board as far as the people that I talked to, both people on our side as far as the processing and the actual working of the paperwork and looking at the insurance and doing those types of things, and then talking with some folks who've had acquaintances or friends or employees who are friends and vice versa, who've just, quite frankly, they've gotten away with doing things a certain way. And I think it is not going to be a difficult thing if we start in January by just reminding everyone that we're going to wipe the slate clean. We're going to ask for current insurance, current contact information, current, all of the necessary information we have, even if they've been doing it for 10 years, because one of the things that we found is that we're relying on some information that's several years old. We make a phone call and find out the phone number is 2 people ago. And so then we have to shoot an email and then we find out that person isn't working where they used to work. Those types of things are the real bugaboos of the system. It's not the actual renting of the facility. It's not the actual issuance of keys. It's making sure we know who's in charge and who's responsible and that they know what the expectations are, quite frankly. So, after bringing this topic up, I thought that, we were going to be looking at a complete revamp and a lot of potential changes that, when we got right down to it, was we need to do what we're saying we're going to do. And we think that's going to solve our problems of walking into a facility on a Monday morning, finding out there's not been any cleaning done, finding out that we issued keys 3 years ago and we don't know where they are. And quite frankly, the person who we issued them to is no longer associated with that group. Those types of things. We just need to do a better internal process and procedure. And we think that's going to iron things out. So unless the board has any specific recommendations, we'd like to take this as a time to simply put the rules and requirements back in front of people and say, these are the things we have to have and they're non-negotiable.
So will we require like team sports to turn in a roster with addresses?
Correct.
Okay. So that packet doesn't have that in it that I saw.
No, I think
So
it's
additional-
simply a matter of give us a copy of your roster as it stands with names and addresses on them. I don't want to have to, in as much as possible, recreate the wheel for them. If they've got it in their own format, I don't care what it looks like necessarily.
If they want to say they're a Benton City team, they better prove it.
That really, that's the gist of it. As you all will know, having had kids either come up and go through the system or still in the system, gym space, field space, even classroom space at times, we have people coming to us from pretty far away, trying to get access to those gyms because quite frankly, other districts have not been as open as we have in the past. And there's a reason for that. We need to make sure that we don't get caught in a situation where we are creating a higher sense of liability for the district. And also, quite frankly, because our staff, from teachers to our custodians to our maintenance folks, we do a darn good job of keeping our facilities in pretty good shape. Obviously, the more use that we have of them, if it's a legitimate use for our kids, it's here. It's, all of these buildings, including the one we're in right now, have been funded by our taxpayers. We want to support our community first, but also not under the guise of calling a team or a organization a Hy-Vee quote unquote organization, when in fact it might have 1 or 2 interested parties and 20 kids out of West Richland and a few out of Kennewick. And not that there's anything wrong with Kennewick, Julie, but just we want to make sure and take care of what we have. And I think this will allow us to do that.
Enforce the rules already in place.
Agreed.
We recall that when Julie and I first were on the board, this topic came around.
Yep.
And we addressed it. Don't know if anything changed. Okay, next up is our CEE results. The survey.
So again, I sent you guys a lot of information, and as I was talking with Heidi and I told David, I need a PowerPoint and I got to come up with some PowerPoint, some materials. What it really came down to is I needed you guys to see the raw results and the raw data and be able to formulate some of your own questions. What I'm going to do is give you a few generalities. But I want you to take some time to take a look at these and really try and pinpoint some things that you do want to flesh out a little bit more. Overall, when you look at the first set of data, I can say as a general, it wasn't as negative as I expected. There was a lot of neutrality, which according to CEE, and I had several meetings with Eric Bolts and several emails with some of their data people. This is what they refer to as the low-hanging fruit, meaning these are folks, a majority of our staff members, who can be easily swayed either way into a positive feeling or a negative feeling. So we've got an opportunity to really make some impacts. When we look at, I think more of the interesting data for the buildings themselves are when we look at those same questions and they're organized according to 9 characteristics of successful schools, and being able to share the individual building level data with each building and have them look at, okay, where are some of our areas where we can make some growth? And then what are some of the things and reinforce the things that we're doing well? As with any survey, as with any data, we talked about this when we first talked about our map results. This is our baseline. So there's not a lot of room for interpretation other than, obviously there are some growth areas and some things that we're doing okay. One of the things that really struck me, and I'm really happy about that, was when you took a look at the social emotional learning questions. A majority of our staff felt that we were doing those and doing them effectively. Now, I can tell you that might not have been the case pre-COVID, but obviously we've had a real intentional effort both in professional development and through Character Strong, which is a program that we've instituted on a K-12 basis for our teachers to really recognize how valuable and important social emotional learning is, especially coming out of the pandemic. So I think the main thing to take away from this data is when you look at it, we obviously have some analysis to do at the building level, but from a district standpoint, going back to one of the ongoing themes that we've pressed pause on too long ago, this is going to lead directly into doable outcomes on our strategic plan initiative that quite frankly just kind of fell flat with COVID. This gives us the data we need to really be able to say, okay, these are our high impact areas that are slightly below that we need to move into that positive range, or these are some of the things that are very low that we need to try and bring up into the middle range. And given that we have all of this data correlated first as a district and then into each individual building, we have a natural progression to be able to look at a district strategic plan that then also has buildings that are matching where they're going with those same ideas. And it should allow us to really push our strategic planning forward and have a true data-driven plan, I think, ready this summer to move forward with. One of the neatest things I didn't expect it. And even with the numbers of results we had about, we had 103 people take the survey district-wide. The last time that we did this in 2014, we had 60. So a much higher number of folks responded to this. And at the same time, like I said before, I didn't think that the results were overall, they overall weren't as bad as they could have been. I think there are definitely some growth areas, but one of the neatest things that's come out of CEE, and quite frankly, this just isn't the time or the place to be able to demonstrate it, is all of this is contained in a database, and I have access to it, and it's through the same system that OSPI uses. It's called Tableau. So all of these individual questions are disaggregated by building. You can go by any demographic information you want to. Has excellent graphing capabilities, but it really, in my opinion, would warrant a good sit down either with individual board members to really dive into it, or even a work session where we could come in on a Friday morning, a Friday early, mid-morning or mid-afternoon, and spend a couple hours in front of, well, if this table was over here, where we could get it up and really dive into it in a much more interactive way. As I was trying to put things in my PowerPoint, it just, you can only do so much with an interactive database to try and create static images. It's really quite impressive. And especially given the fact that, we're on with CEE for 3 years. So we're going to be able to replicate the staff survey again in the fall. And that's really where the rubber is going to hit the road, because we're going to be able to see where some of the more deliberate emphases were placed early on, to be able to see if we're making any movement, any headway. And of course, by next year at this time, we should be prepping to see, our second set of map growth data. We're going to see one in the spring. We'll see another entry year for map data. So we're going to have not only our hard data from a student standpoint as to their academic abilities, but all of the cultural, all of the more qualitative data that CEE gives us. We're gonna have our second set of that by this time next year. So I'm really pleased with where the district is going as far as the amount of data that we're now able to gather, and then really by summer we should be able to have a very solid plan moving forward, both from a climate and culture standpoint and an academic standpoint of where we want to go for the next 5 years. I commend the board for allowing the district to take these steps to gather this, this data, because it really wasn't something that we had access to before. And I look forward to sitting down with you and with a little more time to take a hard look at these. It's good stuff. I think the one telling thing, I know anyone in the room who's seen this type of questioning before, one of the questions that quite frankly really needs to be addressed, because one of the things Eric told me that really stuck was we have a wider gap than a lot of districts in the area of 92% of our staff believes that they are ready for change, willing to accept change and move forward. About 41, or excuse me, most of those same people say that about themselves, and they will say that, but their peers aren't. And that's kind of normal in a school setting, but one of the things Eric said, it's really pronounced here. So we really need to do a good job of, if everybody says they're willing to change, well, let's start looking that way, and then holding other folks accountable as peers for those same types of things, not just in a top-down manner.
Well, that answered my question, because I kept seeing that I versus they comparison. and
I
was
love
like,
those, yep.
What's typical? So that's,
Yeah,
so we're a little higher than normal on
we're a little,
that. Okay.
Wonder if there's any way to compare to other districts that we either admire or abhor. You know,
and see,
to see what their type of.
and that is exactly the reason why I wanted to give you all of the data, because yes, it is. One of the things that I have access to is any district that CEE has worked with, we can take a look at like demographics. Could be smaller, could be bigger, but like demographics, same poverty, same ethnic breakdown, those types of things. We can look at other districts that are similar in size to us. We can look at it regionally. There's a lot of information we can go to. I just didn't want you as a board to just depend on me giving you what I think you need versus asking you the questions first, and then being able to say, okay, if this is where we want to go, this is the type of data that I'll be able to bring in.
Pete, if I could ask you one question about one of these graphs.
Yep, absolutely.
It's the 9 characteristics of highly effective schools.
Yep.
So tell me if I'm interpreting this right. I would say our staff is saying that curriculum instruction and assessment would be kind of a area of concern for them, that they don't feel, or that they feel we could do a better job with because it's at that 0.2%.
There
Am I-
is, okay, I'm opening it right
Okay,
now.
it's in the toolkit one. And then as I look at like focused professional development, that is, it says negative 24.9% positive from the norm. So is the staff saying we are being very focused in that?
What I can tell you, because I did specifically look at that topic, and it was surprising to me because, and I'd have to look at it more to give you the correlative information I think you're looking for. But a majority of our staff, and I can't speak to the graph itself that you're referring to, but curriculum and instruction, specifically curriculum, was one of our higher scoring areas. And I think I made the remark to a couple people that seemed a bit odd to me, because curriculum is one of the areas that we haven't focused on much. But yet, the number 56% positive comes to mind when specifically asked that question, that they think that the curriculum is doing what it's supposed to do. So,
Yes, this is the one I'm looking at.
okay.
Okay, I'm just having trouble interpreting.
No, I don't. I think we can probably. I think that is an area we'll just take a look at, Julie, and bring it back. I know that when you're comparing it directly to the 9 characteristics, I'm just trying to remember the way the data correlates. The closer it is to the
norm,
norm,
the better.
the better it is.
Right.
Okay,
Correct.
okay,
Because we're at minus 24% on
so that would be,
shared focus.
Yes,
more of a concern. Okay,
correct.
Thank you.
And then one of the things that I would share is that in January, and I haven't finalized the exact date yet, but one of the Wednesdays that we have in January, Eric Bolts, formerly the assistant superintendent in Richland and in Pasco, who now works for CEE, is going to come out and join our leadership team and take them through how to interpret all of this various information, and then how to pick, as he likes to say, the low-hanging fruit about things that can be impacted fairly quickly and give them some strategies to do that. So that may very well be a time too when if there's a couple, just two or so interested board members that would like to attend that, take a good hard look and dive. We can do that, and we also can have Mr. Bolts come out to just do a board work session as well.
I see there's a couple that land right on your shoulders.
Hard to believe.
District leadership communicates effectively with my school.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's just perception, but
Well, and I would say in this case, it's 100% perception. Because that's really what this is measuring. It's measuring the way people perceive.
Right.
And if that's their perception, I'm not one to argue with it. I'm going to turn around and say, okay, these are the things that we have been doing. And if they're not effective, then we should quit doing them and do something that's more effective. Quite frankly, I think one of my favorite anecdotes that speaks directly to a couple of these questions regarding our building leadership came up last week when we had our district communication director in the district getting pictures and doing all that type of thing. We had several staff members who came up and asked her directly what was she doing and who she was, and I can guarantee you every administrator that we have put that out at least 2 or 3 different times over the previous week or two, including in their weekly updates. And quite frankly, when asked about it, one of the staff members point blank said, I didn't read that. And so everything is with a grain of salt to some degree. However, if our emails to staff aren't an effective means of communication, all that means is we need to find something different. Doesn't mean it's good, bad, indifferent. It isn't working the way it's intended. So those are the types of conversations, though, that can actually have some meaning and have some movement to how we do business.
and at least you have good direction.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it also, quite frankly, and the board knows this, it's much better to have something like this and know the areas that you need to work on and have a target, as opposed to a shotgun approach where you just throw something in everything and hope something sticks. Like the way I make pasta, throw it at the wall. So yeah, I honestly, I was much more positive and pumped up about this as for the potential for positive impact than anything that came out of any individual questions or anything like that.
Oh, it looked pretty comprehensive.
Yes. So a lot more to come, quite frankly.
Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to early notification of retirement.
Well, it is that time of year. Quite frankly, we just wanted to get this onto the board agenda so we could get it approved and get it out to staff with the turn of the new year. I think everyone right now, no one's really making plans, so to speak, except for one individual I know who's definitely keeping it on his cell phone with the countdown towards his last day. But as the board knows, we have tried to make it a positive for our folks who are considering retirement to notify as early as possible. And this is a way to reward those folks who do let us know. In this case, we're going to be looking at a date of, I believe it's March 25th, notification, so that we can then make some early decisions as much as possible. The amount for the notifications is the same as last year. I mean, $3,000 for a certificated employee, $1,000 for a classified employee who gives us notice in writing. The only addition, the only change that we made is that, and you only find this out once, and hopefully you fix it the next time. This is for folks who have been working in the district for 10 years or more. Quite frankly, we just had a situation last year where we didn't specify that, and someone notified us who have been working here not very long. And of course, we didn't have that requirement out there, so we went ahead for that one individual and gave them the early notification bonus. But this really is a reward for the folks who've dedicated significant portion of their careers to Benton City, and a way for them, if they know they're going to be going out, to show our appreciation as well as reward them for giving us that early notification. So again, other than the 10-year requirement, nothing has changed.
Not quite a golden parachute, but it's
No,
better than a hack on the way out the door.
no,
That's what I got.
we can't all be Elon Musk and selling, millions and millions of dollars of stock on his way out the door.
Any discussion, questions? Okay, well, entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the early notification of retirement for classified and certified staff.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Unanimous. Okay, and then our board application interview discussion.
Not much of a discussion, as the board knows. I sent out the 2 applications that we've received, threw out a date potentially for this Wednesday at 6:30. One of our board members has a conflict on that Wednesday. So I threw out another couple options today to the board just to give you some insight. I threw out this Thursday, the 16th, but after discussion internally, you know what, Tuesday, the 21st, doesn't sound like a bad option either, because it kind of gets us through the hectic pace of the end of the year. We have games and all that different things happening this week. Well, guess what? There's nothing happening next week from a school standpoint. So it might be better to think about next Tuesday. All I want to do is open it up for a discussion so we can solidify a time and a day, and then I'll do notifications to our 2 applicants and put out a very brief press release, both on Facebook and to the press, to notify them that we're going to have a special public meeting.
I'm good with the 21st.
Works for me.
Should work for me.
Good.
Sounds good.
Looks like a good day.
21st, you want to do it at 6:30 or prefer earlier? Whatever. It does not matter to me. Obviously, we're not in school.
6:30 is traditional.
We'll stick with it.
There we go. Easy peasy. So we will notify Molly that the board will have a special meeting.
To the public.
Public. Here in the boardroom. Tuesday, the 21st, 6:30. Is my intention, and I know I've sent out information to the board, but I think that realistically, the last piece of this discussion is we can do the interview and then close the public meeting, have an internal discussion, and then come back to the public meeting and then make the announcement then. We can hold off, make the announcement publicly the first week of January with the idea we swear in the member before the meeting on the 10th. It really kind of 6 one way, half dozen the other. I think if we get we get a few people or more people than just the two candidates, it might not be a bad idea to recess and then come back and let everybody know. I think if we don't, it's entirely then up to the board whether or not we want to just release them and let them know that we'll be in contact after further discussion. It could be a game time decision, so to speak, as well. If it appears that we aren't going to be able to reach a consensus that evening, just go ahead and release them at that time and come back.
I'd prefer to get it all over with at once.
Sure.
But
Okay,
we'll see what goes.
I think
happens if
I
we-
think honestly, within 15 to 20 minutes of discussion, we should have a pretty good idea where it's going. It's either gonna be, gonna be ready, or boy, this might take a while.
Sure.
Right.
So, okay, we can do it.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
hope that date's open for our prospective people.
Yes, however, at the same time, I think it's also one of those things that this is when the board is able to get everybody together, and gosh, if you'd like to be here, we'd love to have you.
Yep.
So I don't think it'll be an issue.
All right, well, that wraps up our business. We have an executive session for personnel matters, et cetera, according to our Washington law for 60 minutes without business at all.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the report.
Thank you.
See ya.